There's a reason why only a few fighters become world champions, and why most end up as just another name on the fight card. Because fighting is more than being strong and having technical skills. When two highly skilled fighters step into the arena, it all comes down to one thing: their collective fight IQ. So what exactly is fight IQ, and how do you develop yours? You're about to find out the 4 things that separate the great from the good. Number 1, it's not who is stronger, but who is smarter. If you think the strongest person always wins the fight, then you are sorely mistaken. Now don't get me wrong, strength and power are important, but they aren't everything. Take, for example, 2 fighters who both have equal striking power. In this case, the one who is faster will always win. So how do you deal with a stronger opponent? Simple. Make them use up their energy. Think of a boxer who never backs down, always coming forward and forcing his opponents to constantly be on the defensive, eventually slowing them down. That's what we call being smart. It's not about who is stronger or who has the better technique. It's about using what you have to your advantage. A fighter once said, "Strength is nothing without endurance." Even the best grappler can be defeated by a weaker opponent if he gets tired first. But the most important thing to remember is to conserve your own energy while making your opponent expend theirs. Let him move first. Bait his attacks. Make him chase you around the ring. That way you'll always know where he is at all times, and you won't waste any energy defending. And when the time is right, you strike. With a knockout blow, the one who is smarter will always beat the one who is stronger. So remember, it's not who is stronger, but who is smarter that makes the difference. Number 2, set traps 3 moves ahead. One of the biggest mistakes you can make as a fighter is to react instinctively. This only leaves you vulnerable to a counterattack. Instead, you must be able to anticipate your opponent's next move and set a trap for him. Here's how it works. Let's say you throw a straight punch. Your opponent blocks it, and now he's in a perfect position to throw a counterpunch. But instead of just blocking it, you can bait his punch, and when he throws it, you immediately follow up with a flurry of punches until he recovers. To be able to do this, you must understand your opponent's psychology, how he reacts to certain situations. For example, if you push him against the ropes, he'll be more likely to come out swinging. Knowing these things will help you prepare for whatever he throws at you. And it's not just about setting traps. It's also about knowing when to break your own traps. Sometimes your opponent will try to counter your tricks, so you need to be prepared for that too. For instance, if you fake a punch and he calls your bluff, then you need to be ready to switch to plan B. Don't be afraid to mix things up. Keep your opponent guessing. That's what separates the great from the good. They're unpredictable. They keep their opponents off balance. Remember, it's not just about who has the best technique, but who is able to use it effectively in a fight. So study your opponent, anticipate his next move, and set a trap. No. 3. Change the game plan in the middle of a fight. Things don't always go according to plan. You might have trained for a certain situation, but when the bell rings, it's a whole different story. That's why it's important to be able to adapt to the circumstances. There is no such thing as the perfect game plan, because there are so many variables that you couldn't control. For example, your opponent might be stronger or more skilled than you thought. Or maybe you're feeling nervous or anxious. These things can all affect the outcome of a fight. So it's important to be able to adjust on the fly. One of the best ways to do this is to break down the fight into smaller parts. Focus on one round at a time. At the end of each round, take a few minutes to evaluate how you're doing. What's working, what's not working, make any necessary adjustments, and then move on to the next round. This will help you stay focused and prevent you from getting overwhelmed. Another thing you can do is to talk to your corner between rounds. They should be able to give you some objective advice on how to improve your performance. Of course, you need to trust their judgment, but ultimately the decision of what to do is up to you. Remember, the great ones are able to change their game plan in the middle of a fight and still come out on top. So be flexible and adaptable. Be able to adjust to whatever your opponent throws at you, and don't be afraid to experiment. Exploit the smallest weakness. Every fighter has weaknesses. Some are more obvious than others, but they are all there. It's up to you to find them and exploit them. One of the best ways to do this is to simply observe your opponent during the fight. Look for patterns in their behavior. Are they always covering their left side? Do they flinch when you move in close? Once you find a weakness, you need to exploit it. Attack the areas that your opponent is vulnerable in. One common mistake fighters make is that they try to attack the strongest link in the chain. For example, if your opponent is known for his knockout power, you might try to avoid getting hit by his punches, but that's not necessarily the best strategy. Sure, it's important to protect yourself, but you also need to take advantage of opportunities. If you see a weakness, exploit it. That could mean going after your opponent's injured shoulder or attacking his head when he's not paying attention. Whatever it is, don't hesitate. The great ones know how to exploit even the smallest of weaknesses. They are relentless in their pursuit of victory. They never give up. So, remember, no matter how strong or skilled your opponent is, they are not perfect. They have weaknesses that you can exploit. Find them and take advantage. This is what separates the great from the good. You can't just rely on your natural abilities or raw talent. You need to be smart, outthink your opponent, anticipate his next move, and set traps accordingly. Be able to change your game plan in the middle of a fight. Don't be afraid to mix things up and keep your opponent guessing. Most importantly, exploit the smallest of weaknesses. If you want to be one of the greats, then you have to train your fight IQ. It's just as important as physical training. So start working on your mental game today and watch your skills in the ring skyrocket. Thanks for watching.